Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back if you're a subscriber. You're part of a select group and I appreciate your support. You may have watched previous videos when we went cycle touring in the south of Holland. We had planned to return and cycle in the north of the Netherlands around Groningen, but unfortunately COVID got in the way. But we've made it back to Europe, and this time we've got a little further north to Denmark. My eldest daughter unfortunately couldn't come with us because she's now flown the nest. You might notice how the other two children have grown. There's a ship here somewhere, it used to be.
Oh, you wanted one, did you?
Oh, she's come returning money.
Did you not want coffee?
This time I'll keep my thumb out. Oh, it's a bit wobbly, isn't it? Kayak is up there. It's been boiling hot on the journey up today. So if you want to ring for the emergency services, you call 112 and you quote A475. So you can come down to the beach, have a barbie, go for a swim. And here's a little picnic bench. Another little hut. Someone else changing huts, I think, are there. And then here you're not allowed to do diving, but I imagine you can jump in. But header from the bridge, not allowed. He's making hot chocolate. Emily to the back of her head. Yeah. Well, we're here. The ferry arrived in Holland at 8 o'clock. And it took a while to get off, about 8:45, and then we went and found ourselves a coffee. Set off about 9:30. It was a long drive, very busy. We made it about 5:45. And we went to bed early. And then the gentleman on the right here, with the 6 o'clock country and western full on. You can see down to the fjord down there. We walked down there last night. Income sizes. There's a lot of permanent setups that no one's here at the moment. I imagine it's the Danes have them as their summer camp. Our 2 tents just drying out. We've just taken the bikes off the back, packing our bags. Mum's in the kitchen, a nice little kitchen area, and making some breakfast. And thankfully it's not raining too much. It did rain overnight last night, and then we were missing a tent peg down here, and the dogs weed up beside of our tent. So that's nice of them, isn't it? Our ready-made porridge we made at home. 40 grams of porridge, 15 grams of sugar, 15 grams of milk powder. And this is the kitchen. My brother's doing the washing up. There are the signs we're following, and we thought we'd stop to have a look at this ancient barrow. And you'll never guess how old it is. 2020, it's a copy. So we thought we'd stop in the shade, have a 5-minute break, and kids can go blackberry picking and put them in our porridge for tomorrow, I think. Hopefully we'll have some blackberries in our next campsite. Well, we've arrived at Finnshav, and there's nowhere to get a coffee or much else really, and there's no there's no ticket office or ticket machine, and we've rung the ferry company to say the 1 o'clock ferry is booked. But she said if you've got a bicycle, you should be okay. And we just pay the man on the boat. Well, I think this is our ferry. It doesn't look very big. And there's a lot of other bicyclists waiting to get on as well. So I only hope they can squeeze it on. That's what's got to get on. Plus the people waiting over here. Looking towards our first view of the island of Aero. We're now in Zwolle, or Aero, at the western end of the island. And that is an all-electric ferry. And if I just scan round, that building over there is the Batik Museum, whatever that is. And we just popped into the Unmanned Tourist Bureau and picked up a map, which I will show you. If I come over here, that's the map. So hopefully we can find our way to our campsite. Mrs. Antagonist has just popped across there to get some milk. Round the back of the tourist office, if you're a cycle that needs recharging, there's recharging points. And then here, there's a bike maintenance area where you can come and get a bit of... And then down here, as well as air, there's all the various tools you could need, tire spanners, what have you, if you need to do effect a repair. So they're all very organised, aren't they? And we're just going to see the sign over there. It's going to take us on to continue on cycle route 8. Wouldn't you know it? I thought a nice straight section. It's not easy recording with one hand. Very pretty. Well, we made it to the Danish Forestry Commissioned free shelter campsite. It rained heavily overnight. Well, it rained, we just had enough time to put the tent up. That's looking north to Aeroscobli, I think, down there. We arrived about 6 o'clock last night, having stopped off, collected some water from a nice German couple. So we sat and just stopped by the side of the road and asked for some water, and they invited us in, really friendly, and gave us a beer. So had some nibbles, which was very kind of them. So the wind's got up a lot. I don't know if you can hear me. I've got the windshield on the camera. Here's a post that shows you the water is 300 metres away. There's a WC just up the road, which is an earth toilet. It's all beautifully clean. And they've got hand sanitizer and toilet paper. And if you take that route down through the trees, and as you can see, that gets down to there's a car turning area, I think, down there you can use. It's nice and warm. I spent my first night ever in one of these shelters. So we didn't get to have our fire last night, because obvious reasons. And I don't think anyone's camped here, because it's, well, not for a while, because the grass is still very long. So we're just making ourselves a cup of tea. believe it or not, that's all the gear we brought. And it's about 9:30 because we had a 6 o'clock start yesterday. If I lift it up, you can see the green roof. So it's given the rain we had, I was pleased I was in there. Good night's sleep. Emily and Finn are just up. We brought her gear up. And I'm just started to make our porridge. As you can see, before we came, we put our porridge already measured out into these air sealed packets. So and then all we need to do is add water and pop it on the stove. Oh, we had a lovely breakfast of porridge and nectarines mixed in with it. The sun's now out. I'll take you a run of the view of the campsite. Out, bang ahead. You might be able to see. Come down here. Have a look at the view. We were up at 6 yesterday, so it's a more leisurely start today. We've just come down, we're going across the flat bit. Off to Marseille, the harbour. You can see the tops of the turbines over there. And I imagine up on that high ground there is where we spent our night last night. With lots of rooks who were very noisy until it got dark. That's the end of the airfield. Our route up there. Well, here we are. Gone past the airfield. And back on terra firma. There's our map. How do I look? Tired? Yeah. Towing the trailer. It's getting lighter. A few less tea bags. One dinner less. You should be able to see the children over my shoulder. Nice street. Even the minor rural lanes have street lighting. So here we are in Marseille at the eastern end of Aero. We just paid for our tickets. Just €44. All packed up. And we're waiting for the 1:30 ferry. And it is a glorious day. We're just going to go for we've bought our tickets, children. For those of you that might have been following us in Holland in 2017, they've grown a bit, haven't they? Well, Rudders has. And there's some sort of memorial. And there's a yacht. They're the Germans after Kiel. We stopped for a coffee with homemade licorice, or licorice made on the island of Aero. At this, I'll take you around the front. There's the ubiquitous Land Rover. That's looking back up to what would have been a fishing port, I guess, in the old days. Oop, into the cobbles, tripping over. And you can stop and have your lunch there. You have brunch is served to 1 o'clock, and we're just having a nice cup of coffee in here. I imagine that's where we go. All the people coming from Langland. Langland. The ferry's not as busy as the ferry we caught yesterday. All the pedestrians off and the cars. We're on board. Oh, the Germans. Got a spot of lunch. Well, we made it to the top of Langland, so we got the ferry across to Rodkobring, and we found a nice little site. So we're a bit nervous whether we're allowed to camp here or not, but I think we're just going to cook up some dinner, and then when the weather calms down or the night comes on, we'll stick our tents up. It's about 7:30. They've got themselves all sorted out. I've just broken a pole, so I'm in a good mood. We managed to mend it, so nothing that money can't save. All sorted out. Well, we're up at 6. Lovely calm morning. We've had scrambled eggs and Danish bacon for breakfast. We're just doing the chores, drying up, washing up, waiting for the tents to dry out. And then that's the Danish Nature Agency telling us there's some shelters just up the path in the woods there. But there's a group of young people in beer who had the loud music going all night, and we're up at 3:40, but why not? A lovely calm morning, and that's, if I turn you round, that's looking over to Foon. Well, we've just left our campsite and cycled into Blåhals the harbour. You can see there's some shelters you can hire overnight, and these ones are actually on the water, so they go up and down with the tide, and they take, I think, 4 people, something like that. There's bunks and mattresses inside, and you get the facilities of showers and toilets. We have to book them, and we were too late, but we're also flush with funds. A lovely morning, all sparkling clean, cleaned our teeth, head off back to Rodkobring. We've made it back to Rodkobring. We're about to head off over the bridge. We just need to cross over to the cycle track on the other side. That's the port we came into. So the troops, we've done 40 kilometres this morning. We got 20 more into Sønderborg, somewhere over there. Lots of midges, and that was where we were camping overnight, right up there. That's looking towards the Foon and Sønderborg, 20k down there we need to go. Looking down to Rodkobring and the port down there. Looking back to where we spent the night, and the bridge back into Langland. You can tell who's carrying all the gear. It's why I'm at the back. You have to do 50 kilometres an hour down here. I'll do my best. I've got your best side. You've got a cherub throttling a swan. I think that's our one. The Hogestein. MF Hogestein. It's the one up here. So we're going from here and we go all the way. I think we stop at Skaro and then we go around and then go to Drejø. So Svendborg's, it's quite cosmopolitan, isn't it? I've never heard of this place. Anyone who lives at Langland has to drive over that bridge on a Sunday. It's the law. Do you know that? It was incessant, wasn't it? You think they'll all be at church? So as you can see, we're on board the ferry. No cars yet. There's people walking around with large ice creams, and today's very muggy. I could do with a large ice cream. There's 3 cars waiting. Anchor, 3 cars waiting. We've just seen a coach, a tourist fart. So we don't know what's on Drejø. Hopefully there's somewhere we can buy some bacon and eggs and stuff.
Not till very late at night.
Goodbye, Sønderborg. We're all wrapped up because it's August. Starts to rain. Just arriving in Skaro. Turns out no one wanted to get on and no one wanted to get off. So that was a quick call. If sea levels rose by about another half a metre, Skaro would cease to exist, I think. That's looking back at Skaro. We think this is Drejø or Drejø coming up here. Very low in the sea. We're having curry tonight. Chicken curry and rice. In our little cabin. And Limbo's even found themselves a chair. Chicken curry time. No curry. Well, the weather was kind to us this morning. We went for a swim in the nuddy. Just had our bacon and scrambled egg for breakfast. I've got a wasp right next to me. Go away, wasp. drying out from our swim. That was the children's bivouac last night. There's a side door. A door right at the very end, I see kit. Bikes. Take you up and show you our little bunker in here. You can open up all the side bits. It's down the lane. And there's sort of an area you can sun yourself. They've made here, have a bit of a barbie. And that's the lovely beach. Yachts out to sea. We've cycled right to the tip, the other end of, well, we would say Drejø. It might be Drejø or Drejø. Don't quite know how they pronounce it. Oh, that looks quite a fall out there. And we think that's Aero or Sobu over there. Sobi. That's white beam hedge, all the berries nearly ready for the all the blackbirds. Lots of small white butterflies all over the Rosa rugosa. Like whatever that is. Cycling back to the port. Downhill. What's that? That. No one behind me. See you behind me. The Danish houses aren't, the traditional house isn't like an English house. It seems to be very barn based. Sort of the French would call de ferme. So nice straight road. There's a bit of high ground at the end of the island. And then there's a causeway in a low patch where it must go through some salt marsh. So in high seas, this end of the island might get cut off. So, impressions of Denmark. What do I know about Denmark? Apparently they claim to be the world's or Europe's biggest exporter of Christmas trees. We've seen 2 fields of Christmas trees, but by comparison with the fields in England, they're tiny, so they must grow those somewhere else. The farming we've seen, it's very rural. But it's all very small-scale agriculture, small-scale farming, almost small-holding type. I imagine the topography dictates that. You're aware of Danish bacon. We haven't seen a pig since we've been here. I imagine they're in the sheds inside. We can certainly hear them and smell them. We see cattle, the typical Frisians, but a whole mix. Different sorts of cattle. Again, on not massive herds, but at least they're outside. It's very lush everywhere because it hasn't stopped raining for the last month or so, so it's very green. What else do I know about Denmark? They have the Order of the Elephant. I think Nelson had that. Battle of Copenhagen, wasn't it? And then Sandy Totsvig. What else do we know? Of the Great Danes, the Great Dane dog. And now we know a bit more. We know the names of the few islands, a few places. Victor Borge, wasn't he Danish? And there was a model, wasn't it? Bridget Nielsen, was she Danish? Don't know. And I thought there'd be lots of coffee shops and places to get a Danish pastry. But it's so rural. The villages tend not to have many village shops or be all that big, but it could just be we're in a very rural area on the island. But we're going to go back to the harbour, back to Fyn, and it's an hour and 15 minutes back to Sønderborg. We're going to fill up some water, have an ice cream, and then head out to tonight's hit point. It's the end of August. The house martins and the swallows are still here. The Danes like to have a trailer. Nearly every house has a trailer parked outside. And we're now approaching the village. Right, we've entered the village. Quite a lot we see little stalls outside every house. Not every house, many of the houses have little offerings, produce from the vegetable garden, or flowers, or knickknacks and vases, for old children's bicycles. Which way do we go? Straight on, don't we? Oh, there's the... oh, I've mucked that up. I'll come up here. We'll go around some bird boxes. We'll go around the block. This is actually the main square in the middle of the island, I think, or the square of roads. See if I can come around here. There's a lot of thatch everywhere. What we would think more medieval. Seems to be a lot of building in the early 20th century, judging by the dates on the houses. And then just here is where the local shop is on the island, where we stopped off, up the economy by buying some bacon and eggs yesterday, our breakfast this morning. And then if we turn left here, if I've got my bearings, this should take us back. You know, you've been here before. This should take us back to the port harbour. Needless to say, there aren't many cars on the island. You can hire bicycles and things like that. Morning. Hi. Hi. There we go. It's funny, isn't it? Some people you say hello or hey to, or morning, and they come back to you and say hello, good morning. And others, they look at you like from another planet. So we're seeing it in both its temperaments. We had the cold and the wind and the rain yesterday when we arrived, and now we're basking in balmy, breezy weather. Well, there's a ferry. I hope that's not ours. Let's hope that's not our ferry. We'll keep going. Speed up a bit. Flying the flag, which I think's called, it's got a name, the Danish flag. White crest on a red background. It's the opposite to the English flag. I think they call it something like the Danbrog or something like that. They always proudly claim that it's the oldest flag in the world. But whether that's just any truth to that, I don't know. the flag has to be flown at a certain height. You have to have a permission to fly it. It's the only flag you're allowed to fly, although you are allowed to fly other flags of the surrounding Scandinavian countries, the Denmark and European flag. If you want to fly any other flag, I think you have to have a license. And then they also have a streamer, which is probably a bit wetter in the strong winds. And it has to be, what did I say, 5 times the flag. The flagpole has to be 5 times the height of the width of the flag. And then you can only put it up after 8 o'clock in the morning, and have to take it down before 6 o'clock at night or something like that. So they're very proud of their flags. So as we all are. There's a lovely sailing schooner or something out of that. I'm sure the sailors amongst you will tell me it's something different. And we're back to the, hopefully, on time. Back to our friends running the boat. I'll show you a map of the island. So, to put it in context, we came across from over here somewhere to Soby, and we went all the way, spent overnight about there, and then went to Marstel, caught the ferry up to Rudkobing, and we went all up to Low Hulls, and we cycled all the way back, went across the bridge, Sønderborg, the ferry to Drejø. Now we're going to go back to there, and then we're going to go up here somewhere, I think. And you certainly are, there's a bigger map of Drejø. So we arrived here, we cycled up, got something to eat, went down to these cabins on the beach. This morning we cycled up and we went all this straight road across that sort of marsh causeway with Drejø Skov or Skoven right to the cliffs at the end, and then all the way back again. So we haven't done all the island, but it's lovely. Like most of Denmark, it has a very calm feeling. There's a lot of traffic when we're going around Hamburg, and then all the way up to Flensborg on the border. And then when you get into Denmark, the traffic faded away a bit. It might have just been the time of the day when we were arriving. But, certainly on the first part of our cycle, it was quite smelly. It smelled of poo, cow poo, pig poo. And it might just be the time of year when they're mucking out, getting ready, clearing everything out, ready for the winter, muck spreading. And above me I can hear the flag fluttering in the breeze, and the Danish cycling infrastructure is second to none. It puts us in the shade, and their picnic areas, and so much is done on trust. I mean, those places we stayed last night, they said if you find them free and they're available, get on this app, book them, which we did, and I think it cost us something like £14. So, which was reasonable, but if that was in England, there'd be beer bottles strewn everywhere and it'd be set on fire within a week, I reckon. And so many of the things they're selling by the side of the road are honesty boxes. I can vouch that the sea was lovely once you're in. Very shallow, nice and sandy. Go for a wander down the marina. There's Molly. Don't know where they're all from. They seem to be a fair few German boats sailing out of Kiel. That's a yachtsman's paradise around here. I'll walk you right to the end and take a shot of Brothers before he crashes off into the water. There we are. There's a swallow. You think they'd put something, I suppose that's a deeper water. In there. Looking back at that. Augustine. Waiting for us to pop on board. This looks like the Krabben. So you can come crabbing. I've just looked over the edge and there are a lot of crabs in there. You can go catching them. I don't know, it looks like you can eat them probably. But you can take them there and they cook them up. But they're too small to eat. I don't know, I'm not a fisherman. Looks like you can, doesn't it? And around here you can take your little trolley for wheeling stuff in and out. Back on the ferry. Saying goodbye. Get back to Sønderborg. It's quite hard pushing a heavy bike with your left hand.
Okay, so what should I tell you?
That's the view from our overnight tonight, just looking at the cattle in the water meadows over towards the lake. And the area around here is quite clay, the soil, and there's a brickworks just up the corner, and the managing director of the brickworks back in the late 19th century built the house. And I think we're in the orchard here. There's apples, we're just having a beer, apples and pears, and just through here you can see, I'll give you a glimpse of the house. I don't want to spoil their privacy, but you can see it. Lovely, isn't it? The tower. There's two trains here. We're off to Odense, and there's the other train heading on to Sønderborg. We're having an ice cream in Odense. We went to Goody, 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 yum, yum. Got the sun in his eyes on the way back. I didn't know you could go in there. Hi there, Peter. Peter the Potter. He's pottering around in his garden. Wow, look at all these. Here we go. Peter collects pots. It's not all dense. The D is a soft. It's Odense. Yeah. The Danish don't have a. Which is why they go. Yeah. So this is our. Should we put the lights on? Oh, it's warm in here, isn't it? Our kitchen. Our sofa. The telly. Morning. Coming to Farborg. Our flag. Now the rich people can stay, not the rest of us. So after Drejø, we went there, to there,
Oh, baby.
then we went up here, Kirkby, Stenstrup. Then we took the railway line up to Odense, all that way again to Stenstrup. And this morning we went down to Stenstrup, Vester, Falborg, around there, on roads and boiling. We go down there. Boiling. And down to Finchard, we're going to go back campsite there. So we made it back to our campsite. There's the van. Still safe, hopefully it'll start. And we got back at what time? 4:40, 20 to 5. So I thought before I forget, what wouldn't I take next time? I took 3 battery chargers, of which I only needed 1 battery pack. I thought the children were going to require more. I took a tripod I didn't use, so that's quite handy for the GoPro. I took another tripod, little handheld tripod I didn't use. I took too many cables because I was in a rush when we left. I just grabbed a load because I thought the kids will probably want them. We took lights, but we didn't use them, but that's just to be on the safe side. I took a long pair of trousers that I didn't use. I got a spare pair of underpants. I got a spare pair of socks. I got a spare shirt. I only broke the hoodie out today, which I could have got away with. I don't think if I was travelling in summer I would take the lightweight sleeping bag. I took a quilt. My wife does get a bit chilly, and I would just make do with the quilt because you can zip it up like a sleeping bag. What else wouldn't I take? I've got a pair of waterproof trousers that, as last time, we didn't wear. Other than that, we've eaten our way through the food. We've got a few bits left, as you always do, just in case. We got the straps to keep the lids on there, and that's all ready for if we had any breakages to strap it up. We broke a pole on our tent, or rather I broke a pole on the tent, so that's 40 odd quid to repair that. So if anyone likes to send me some money, that would be great, or replacement pole. The kids' bike, all the bikes held up. We didn't have any punctures, which was lovely. They were all very good, so hats off to Richard at Oxford Bike Works for our bikes, and also to Sean in the village for giving a service to the kids' bikes, just to make sure that the wheel bearings and everything, he took them all apart and put new chains on and made sure we had new brakes and everything was super duper. I think I took a helmet, wore it a bit, but generally didn't wear a helmet. It's last time we're in Holland, we got very trolled by some people, mainly the Dutch, or certain elements of the Dutch, for why we're wearing helmets and being very rude. But in Denmark, helmets seem to be, I would have said, probably 60-40 people wearing helmets. Obviously, the more you're in the town, the more likely people to wear helmets. Is Denmark flat? No. If you're on a road bike, great. If you really are lightweight touring, and we're not, we're comfort touring really, you're probably okay. With a trailer, that was hard work. I mean, it's undulating countryside, so yeah, it can get a bit hard. I think I walked up a couple of hills. So what else wouldn't we take? One of the things we did take I thought was good was the flat pack 5 litre watering water. So we had enough water overnight when we needed it. Oh, the Dutch are taking it. It was them in the camper van. They've just arrived back. They've just gone and they're off, are they? Or they're going to put their... same as us. So we're just going to put the tents up now and then have a shower and reacquaint ourselves with civilization, and then probably pop out for a pizza or some nice nosh. Well, that's our broken pole. Fortunately, I had a repair section and the ubiquitous gaffer tape, which has held us so far. So if anyone from Wild Country or Terra Nova is watching, you'd like to send us a replacement, I don't know, 8mm section, or better still, a whole new pole section. Your marvellous tents. We got the Hooley 3 Etc, which has the little bit extra bit out the front for your gear. That's Mr. and Mrs. Antagonist are in. And the kids are just in a straightforward hoolie too, both of which we picked up second hand because we're not rich. So what have I got in my panniers? In this side I've got my sit mat that helps waterproof protect there. On the other side in the gauze which used drying out, I've got the good old what are they called, Crocs. In the back I've got my wash kit and towel, and the other side I've got I don't know what I've got in there, my waterproof. In the side I've got a toolkit, and then we've got clothes in one side and tech, and then the other side I've got sleeping system. And then in the van and here, sorry, in the trailer, you can see I use my carry mat, sleeping mat, and that not only does it protect things, stop things making a noise and bouncing around, it helps keep things waterproof. We've got the kids' sleeping mat at the back. We try and pack over the wheels, and we've got an alt-lib waterproof bag that has all our sort of communal kit for cooking at stoves and mess tins and bits and pieces. And then when you go to conferences and you walk around picking up these bags, they're really handy for just peppering it. So I know the beige one has biscuits in, the white one has all our coffee bags, hot chocolate, tea. The orange bag has what in it? I think that's bread and bits and pieces. And then the blue bag, what's in there? Porridge oats, that's breakfast bag. So, and there's our waterproof bag, our water bags, and more water bags. So we didn't really fill up the trailer. You could have put more in, but of course it's obviously heavy. And then in here is our call bag, which is the Sainsbury's job for about £4. And we brought some salted butter with us, which was kept okay. So we do bring a little tiny bottle of olive oil and a little tiny bottle of washing up liquid with us as well. And for breakfast we had Danish bacon and eggs. So we brought our own mixed up porridge. And then as we're going out every day, we managed to buy some milk as well. So it didn't take us long to get the old site up, and then I'm going to nip up to the reception and settle up for the next couple of nights.
I'm just going to let that cook down. Reduce down.
Now we're back in civilization. Just waiting for dinner to cook. Watching Simon Bloke in the Woods on YouTube, catching up what he's been doing. Now they're all up in the kitchen cooking dinner.
A bit of spice in as well. Yeah, that little bit of spice, that's just Moroccan.
Andy from Kent Survival.
It's got fenugreek and cloves and onion and garlic and cumin.
And I'm wrapped up like this to try and stop the mosquitoes. Walk down to the fjord, swimming area. It's absolutely mill-pond calm. Look at that. It's about 9 o'clock, I think. And I'm just going to be tucking into my pudding, which is Sainsbury's rice pudding, which is using up the last of the food. It just happened to be in the van. So that's my pudding for tonight.
camera's is of Golden State Oh, maar wij zijn oud, zeg van mij.
Lavatory, we say in our family. What did you buy? What are these?
You hold that second.
They're like,
Caramel wafers.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Butter biscuits, are they? Oh, you got a hot one.
we got 2 hot ones.
2 fresh ones.
Oh, nice.
And one chocolate. No, Google cards.
Ik wil ga in ieder geval beneden. Ik dacht, neem Kitty mee. Ik weet niet bij jou.
Interesting version of Frere Jacques there. It's got a bit thin around here. I don't want to drop the camera. We've just been to the art gallery. €15, that was. Well, Sunday morning breakfast time in Kampen. Stinky smell of cigarettes. The signs on the wall there. Underground. Overground, wandering free.